5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
This is the 5 on Film podcast.
Hello and welcome to 5 on Film, the podcast where we break down the top 5 in the world of film. I am your referee, Chris Murray, and before I introduce our guests and the topic, here's how the show works. We have 3 rounds: nominations, eliminations, and ranking. First, we each nominate a film we believe deserves to be in the top 5 and why it should be there. If 2 or more panelists agree, it makes our initial list. We carry on until we hopefully have 7 films. Once we have our 7, we eliminate, and here we decide on 2 films to remove, leaving us with our top 5. And finally, ranking the films as we decide on the definitive 5 on film for this subject. So this week, we are doing boxing films. It's time for the main event. In the blue corner, from south of the Thames, the king of the ring, Ali Boumaier. And from Hazelmere, the master of disaster, Matt the Hulk Hines.
Careful, you'll pop something.
And from Hemel Hempstead, the host with the most, Paul the Crusher Creed. And in the blue corner, from Stoke-on-Trent, the patron saint of pain, John Twinkle Toes Buglas. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble.
Well done. That was good. That was good. Well done, man.
That was good. That was really good.
Okay, so round 1. Our guest Ali has decided on this topic. So Ali, could you just explain why we're doing this one, please?
Well, obviously, Boxing Day. But when I mentioned it to Paul, I was actually talking about boxing films, as in films containing boxes, not literally boxing. So then I thought, let's do boxing instead. So Boxing Day, boxing films, got Varobon. It's actually a spa robe, but sparring in a different sense. We're talking about the hot tub and the jacuzzi and the spa. But boxing films, that's why I chose it. Because I just thought Christmas time, boxing films, why not in it? So,
Indeed.
Nice one. Well, as Ali was saying, we are doing this on Boxing Day, and that's actually the reason they came up with it. I think some vague recollection. Does anyone actually know why it's called Boxing Day?
Well, the day itself.
Yeah, the day.
Yeah,
it's to do with boxing.
it's to do with boxing up stuff, but I can't remember what we boxed up. I don't know. There is
Jesus.
something. Huh?
we put Jesus in a box.
I don't think so. But, but yeah, they boxed up. I think they boxed. I can't remember. I'd have to Google that. Someone Google that.
Do you know what? I should know because it's my birthday. You see, Boxing Day on my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. I don't celebrate it once I pass 50, so you know.
Oh well, so it's been a few years then, Matt, has it?
Oh yeah, it's been a few years since then.
Well, happy birthday, Matt, for today.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, man.
It's
Happy
all right.
birthday, Matt.
To the future, to the future, to the future.
Presents must have sucked when you were young. What happened?
Well, do you know what? You say that, but I used to get a decent combined one. So I used to get like a birthday, Christmas, and it used to be kind of like, you know, I never used to watch Dragon Ball Z, but what happened when they got like super large version of them? What was it
Super
called?
Saiyan. Super Saiyan.
My presents used to get Super Saiyan, you see. They used to
Yeah.
big ones. Big ones, son, big ones.
Oh, that's what she said.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Okay, so round 1. Ali, please give us a nomination.
All right, so I'm going to go with a nomination, which not only contains the best actor ever, Robert De Niro, the best film director ever, Martin Scorsese. Put them together. You add in a bit of Joe Pesci. What do you have? Raging
Mean Streets.
Bull. What a film! No, John. Yeah, Raging Bull. I remember seeing this in probably like the mid-90s. Was the first time I saw it. It was actually in film studies, and our film tutor was a massive Martin Scorsese fan, and he put this on for us, and I fell in love with it. The acting's incredible. I mean, Robert De Niro is incredible in the film. He's like he's a boxer, but he's got such anger, and it's not just inside the ring; it's outside the ring. You know, his relationship with his wife and his brother, Joe Pesci, is explosive, and his character is just crazy. You can compare it actually to your last podcast. Pacino in Scarface. This is like Robert De Niro in Raging Bull. He's just a crazy man, isn't he? But the characters, the way they all interact with one another, the filmmaking, the cinematography. Martin Scorsese made it black and white for the reason. I mean, I'm sure loads of you know already, but he was a thing he had with Kodak, and he didn't want it to age. He didn't want the colors to fade like the boxing gloves. And he also, I think, like for boxing gloves, when the film was set, they weren't even red. They were like brown or black. So because they were going to be black, he thought, why not make it black and white? And so that's why it's black and white. And he didn't want it to age like Rocky, because Rocky, the first Rocky, came out a little bit before. I think it was a couple of years before, maybe a year, 2 years.
Yeah,
before.
it was about 5 or 6 years before, mate. About 5 or 6 years before.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, I absolutely love it, and even the editing. I think it's Thelma Schoonmaker. The editing of the film is incredible. I think it's fair to say one of the best edited films. It's incredible. It's amazing. And I would say if we forget like boxing, if you take boxing out of the question and just regard it as a film, yeah, it's in my personal top 10 films of all time.
Wow.
It's an amazing film.
Wow.
And Joe Pesci is amazing as well. I think it was actually his first like main film, like his main. He'd done like smaller films before, but this was his like major role. And he's amazing. I love him anyway. But I think those two together, I think Robert De Niro is incredible anyway. And his character's amazing. And even his wife, like his real wife and the real couple, he said, like Joe Montana, he said to his wife, was I really that bad in the film? And she said, you're worse. You was worse than that. So he must have been an absolute off his head. But for me, I'm going to put forward Raging Bull.
Raging Bull.
Yes.
What a good one out of the gate. All right, John, Raging Bull, yes or no?
Literally, I've just finished watching this, and
For the first time, I'm right.
For the very first time, and
Really?
Fresh in the mind.
I am so going to piss on your chips. Yeah, unfortunately, it's yeah. I actually did not. I didn't actually like it. I mean, I listened to another podcast, and one of the guys talks about the bell end test, and yeah, he's a complete and utter bell end. Yeah. Jake LaMotta. I don't. It feels its black and whiteness isn't the problem. It almost feels like a really good student film to me. Just the way. No, I mean, okay. I'm going to get shot down on this one, but I really, and there's actually only 10 minutes of boxing in the entire film. It's a 2 hour, 9-minute film, and there's 10 minutes of boxing in the entire thing.
But those 10 minutes in boxing are incredible.
No, because I watched the first fight straight out of the gate, and it looked very, very telegraphed, and I just don't think it's aged very well. Now I understand its place in boxing film history and things like that, but actually, you know what? I don't like it.
Do you
So
think
I
it's
don't.
too
I
stylized for you? Do you think it's too stylized, as in for camera?
Oh, no, I like the things,
all the whip pans and all the. It's really fast cut and.
No, I think actually just some of the choreography just hasn't stood up. You can see the throws coming, and it just really did not do it for me. And much like Scarface actually tripped a lot of people up in the last one. In the Pacino one, it just really just doesn't do it for me. So
wow. All right, I know from John. So that John's countered your attack there, Ali.
Oh yes,
Matt. What say ye?
I think John's punch drunk. I think he's punch drunk. I'll be honest with you. I genuinely do. This. I kind of understand where he's coming from. I kind of do, because it isn't a film that you would necessarily want to take home and introduce to your mum and dad. You wouldn't want to take it to dinner and say, this is my new girlfriend. You wouldn't want to do that. It's not a nice film. It really isn't a nice film. It's a tough watch. It is a tough watch. He is a big fat SOB, that guy, Jake LaMotta, who isn't a nice guy at all. But you know that going in. You know that going into the movie. I knew anyway. And what you do get, you get your 10 minutes of boxing. But other than that, you get another 2 hours worth of singular brilliant directing in every sense. And you've got Joe Pesci, Kathy Moriarty, and Robert De Niro in these kind of kitchen sink vignettes, these kitchen sink dramas, as you would probably describe like a lot of 1950s British movies as, where it's rough, it's dirty, it's scummy. It's not a nice movie to watch, but it has so much inspiration for me. It may not like leap out of the screen. There's a fly in there for some reason. It may not leap out of the screen at you as something instantly. Why is this? You probably sit there and say to yourself, how is this possible? Possibly in like the top voted 10 films, 20 films of all time. Perhaps you have to see it when you're in that kind of impressionable part of your life where movies do make an indelible effect on you, have an indelible effect on you. And same as Ali, this for me had an indelible effect on me. I was in college when I saw it. Yeah. I was lucky enough to go to the Manchester Corner House, which was a specialist cinema in Manchester, specialist for films, not for those films, the other films. And it was.
I've actually had a short film shown at that cinema that I made. Believe it or not,
at the Corner House.
The Corner House.
I actually judged the short film competition from there as well.
Was it? John, did you judge Paul's film?
I don't think so, but
what year, mate?
Maybe.
That would be hilarious if you did.
It would. I didn't win, John. So if I may have to come after you.
Awkward.
Okay, was it the Kino film?
No, it wasn't. No,
right, it wasn't that one. Yeah. It's all right. We're fine. We're fine. It wasn't experimental, was it?
No,
because they just bored the shit out of me. Anyway.
Okay, so
that's a yes for me. I mean, this movie is about it's about rage, it's about repression, it's about anger. It is about this one man's battle with himself. And you get a lot of films like that are detestable in a sense. You've got the equivalent film where I'm kind of fascinated to watch, and we'll go back to it from time to time. Is the Darren Aronofsky film. Someone remind me of its name. The one about drugs.
Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream. It's a nasty film, but it's an important film. This isn't a nasty film, but it's hard to like the character. As John said, he's absolutely right. I'm not denying that. But you cannot deny that Martin Scorsese was just a master of framing, of composition, of style, of right choice of cameras, right choice of camera stock. I mean, the opening music, the opening scene, the slow motion.
Yeah.
You might say, well, that's great and everything. That's something for the film scholars out there, but for me, it just gets better and better as it goes along. And I do think perhaps you have to see it at that impressionable age. But yeah, I love it. I think it's got to go on.
Okay, and Paul, do you like Raging Bull or not?
I do like Raging Bull. This is one of the ones that I wrote it down, and I started making out my list. And for this week, I had it in at number 7. So I'm going to say yes, because this is our initial 7. I had it on my personal list at number 7. The reason I think I have it that low, even though it is a classic and it is a very well-made film, there isn't a lot of boxing in it, but this film's only got 10 minutes of boxing in it as well over my shoulder, and I love that one. So I don't think it's necessarily the amount of boxing in it. It's definitely a movie about a boxer and his life. I've only seen it once, and I think that is probably why I've ended up ranking it lower, because I think I must have been about 20 when I watched it, and that's a good few years ago now. So it made an impression at the time, but my memory on the film has waned over the years, so I can only remember about it, and I remember really enjoying it. Well, as much as you can enjoy a film about a nasty man who beats up his wife. Yeah, it's but the acting performances from Joe Pesci and from Robert De Niro are phenomenal. The weight change that the character goes through, everything that the actor did, I think it's a great film. But yeah, it ranks lower on this list, probably just because I haven't seen it as recently as some of the others.
Okay, well, Ali, it is on the list now,
Yes.
and I
Ding,
would
ding,
agree
ding,
as
ding,
well.
ding.
It's in my top 5, so yeah.
Wicked,
Raging
wicked.
Bull is our first contender.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, John, do you have a nomination for us?
Yeah. Talking about just watched films, I have to say that I'm not a big boxing movie fan. I've kind of picked them up over the years, one here, one there. And this one kind of passed me by a couple of years ago, and I kind of I've literally just finished watching it as well. And again, this one, the film is called Southpaw. It's Jake Gyllenhaal, and it starts with him at the top of his game. It starts with the match where he's getting his gloves put on. He's goes out, and he very much fighting style, very much like Rocky. You kind of keep punching him, and just the other person just wears down. Except he just gets angrier and angrier and angrier, and then he just releases his rage to win his battles. And he wins the fight, and he gets the belt, and he celebrates with his wife. He goes home, sees his kid, and there's this young buck who's wanting to take him on for his next fight. Comes into his press conference, riles him up a bit, but it's all just showmanship. He about a few weeks later, he goes off and he gets offered a 3-fight, £30 million contract with HBO for title fights over the next few years. Him and his wife came up through orphanages, through the system. And then the whole thing takes a left turn. He goes to give a chat. He's giving a speech to kind of support the local children's services, family services. And at the end of that fight, he walks out the hotel room, the big conference room, and the guy's there trying to sell his next fight. At which point it all goes pear-shaped. The young guy winds him up. They actually come to blows. Big fight. Someone pulls a gun, and his wife gets shot and dies. And he goes on a downward spiral. He ends up with financial problems. He's pre-suicidal. He's vengeful. He gets his daughter in the end. Gets his daughter taken away from him. He ends up being kind of taken in by his by one of the guys who was supporting him in the ring, and he excuse me, and he ends up going right back to basics and ending up in Forrest Whitaker's gym. And Forrest Whitaker doesn't want anything to do with him, but he needs a job. He needs the training because that's what he knows, and that's how he wants to rebuild himself. And he keeps going to child services to see his daughter, and his daughter doesn't want to see him to start with, and she's just angry, so much anger and rage and everything. And then he kind of starts to bring himself round a bit. He does a charity fight, and Forrest Whitaker's trainer brings him out and brings him on, and actually teaches him the skills that he didn't have while he was a big league boxer. He kind of teaches him how to fight around the rage and how to defend from punches instead of stopping them with his head. And he becomes a better fighter and builds himself through, and he starts to rebuild his relationship with his daughter. And as with all boxing films, there's a big money fight at the end, and everything goes to plan, and he ends up back with his daughter. Now, that is probably the plot of most of the films that are going to come up tonight. That is the basis for most sports movies. You either start at the top and lose everything and redeem, or you start at the bottom and work your way up. The difference with this one is the fact that Jake Gyllenhaal really sells the low. He really sells the grief. It really hit me how his character deals with the loss of his wife and how he has to continue with his daughter and how he has to dig himself out. I really like this film, and I think that as a top 7 at least, I think Southpaw deserves a fighting chance.
Okay, Matt, Southpaw.
I've seen it once. I think when it came out. I don't know, if John hadn't said that last sentence, then I probably would have said no. If he hadn't said at least for a top 7, and that's where I see it. Really, I see it kind of at the bottom of that 7. It's a very good movie. There are others I think that are higher, a better quality. I think, as he quite well put, the performance for me in this is what stands out from Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean, he's a great actor. I've got plenty of time for him. I think he's really, really good, and he's acted quite. This is a film by Anton Fuqua.
Yes,
and he's known for these kind of tragic, how would I put it? Tragic reality stories where troubled men pick themselves up and find other routes out of their problems. He's done films like Training Day. Sorry, John, go on.
Sorry, no, it's actually also it's produced also by a guy called Kurt Sutter, and he's the guy behind The Shield and also Sons of Anarchy and things like that. So really high testosterone male stories.
Yeah.
So
and it's great, and he pulls out a fantastic performance of from Jake Gyllenhaal. And I mean, I read this in a review, and it was reviewed as the film where Rachel McAdams dies within 10 minutes, and she's a fairly big star, and she even more so in 2015. Yeah, I like it. I do like it. I was going to say, I think so. I was going to say no until John said it's worthy of 7 of being around there at the bottom end of 7, and he's right. He's right. Really, there aren't a huge amount of you can't put Rocky 3 or Rocky 4. I mean, in all seriousness, you can't. but listen,
I'll tear up my list now. Shall
but listen, I mean, in all we've got seven spots, and I genuinely think if everyone's seen it, which I hope most of you have, probably haven't, but most of you have, that this does deserve it. It deserves 6 or 7. I genuinely think so. So yeah, it should go on.
Okay, it's a yes from Matt. Paul?
It's really good. I really like the relationship with the Jake Gyllenhaal and his daughter. I thought the daughter was very well acted for a girl of her age. I didn't know the twist of Rachel McAdams dying when I went into the movie. It does happen early on, but I didn't know that. It did come kind of out of nowhere. And I think it's a great performance. And I think this movie is very, very good. And as you can probably tell, I'm going to say no. And that shows how strong a list of boxing movies I think there is. I've got this movie at about 9 or 10 on mine. And I think this movie is great. So, sorry, John. No.
Okay, so Paul's thrown the towel in on that. Ali. Oh, actually, sorry, me. It's giving me, sorry. I've only seen this once and I'd completely forgotten about it. And it was only through John's very thorough going through the plot that I kind of remembered. But yeah, I just hadn't considered it for my list. So I'm gonna have to say no, I'm afraid. So Ali, it's down to you to decide whether this goes in or not.
Well, it was actually in my top 5. I think it's
there we go.
Score.
I think it's an
All right,
amazing. I remember seeing it I've got it on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. But I remember seeing it at the cinema. And I just think it's boxing, but I actually nearly had a tear in the cinema just because of that relationship between him and his daughter. I think it connected because the daughter's called Layla and my eldest is called Layla. And it just, her being taken away from him was so hurtful. And it is that a man who's at the top of his game. I mean, his heavyweight I'm sure he's heavyweight. He's whatever he is, whatever class he is, he's at the top of his game. He's got everything. He's got the house, he's got the car, he's got the wife. He's rich, he's famous, and he's at the top of his A game. And it's all taken away from him so suddenly, his wife being shot, his daughter being taken away, and that really hit. And I just love him as an actor anyway, and he's proper. He's the man crush. I mean, Jake. He's proper. Oh, Jake. I think it's a great film. I mean, to be honest, when we first came into this, we could have had Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and Balboa and Creed 2, all in the top 5 because. But Southpaw definitely deserves to be in the top 5 for me, anyway. I think.
All right. Well, thanks to you, it is now in the
list.
It is a contender. All right. So we're on to Matt now. Matt,
did you not miss yourself out, Chris?
I'm going last.
Oh, you're going last.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right then. Let's go with the first time we're probably going to talk about this director in all our this is the 16th podcast, or it should be the 16th podcast. So we haven't really spoken about this director before. It's a devastating film. It's not your traditional boxing film. It's a devastating movie, and I think it's a really important movie. I think. Just let me get my notes.
You're going to take my nomination. You're going to take my nomination.
I hope I do. Yeah, I think this is a film that it's a three-hander. It's a three-hander film. It's a big acting movie. It's very stripped back. There isn't a huge technical amount of expertise going on. What you do have here is you've got a seasoned filmmaker, an Oscar-winning actress, and two other Oscar-winning actors, and a director in there as well. It's from 2004. It's called $1 Million Baby, and for me, it was the best film of that year. It was just something that came out of the blue. I wasn't expecting another movie that Clint Eastwood had directed that would move me as much as Unforgiven had done. And Unforgiven for me is Clint Eastwood's best film. There are so many others. Obviously, there's so many
as
others.
as a director.
As a director, yeah, as a director. But he's an actor in that as well. So you can kind of class it as both. But this film was just phenomenal. It's just a beautiful construction of a burgeoning relationship between a woman who has grown up. As John said, in a lot of these movies, that you have the characters there who are downtrodden. They've grown up in rough streets, and they've found themselves in situations that they would rather not be in, and they want to get out of. And this is all about growth. This movie, it's all about growth, and finding two people who are lost, who find each other through the wonderful connection that they make through boxing. Hilary Swank plays Maggie Fitzgerald, and she wants to become a boxer. She's got no experience. She's just a scrapper, basically. That's what she is. She's a scrapper. She's got no money. She's got no job. But she wants to train in what turns out to be Clint Eastwood's gym, boxing gym. And the first sort of quarter of the movie is just the building blocks of this relationship between Clint Eastwood and Hilary Swank's character. And you've got Morgan Freeman off to the side, who is the I suppose the Paulie of this movie, if you want to compare it to something like Rocky, which is leagues better than. But yeah, it's just beautiful. I mean, it's not showy at all. It's a really raw performance from Hilary Swank. She'd won an Oscar, as we know, several years before for Boys Don't Cry, and this just compounds her ability as just a phenomenal actor who can really dig deep into characters and find a connection not only on screen, but also it comes across the screen. It comes, you're sitting in the cinema and you just really feel for her. You really feel for her dreams and her will and her commitment and drive to want to become a champion, to become a boxer, in what is a pretty kind of rough part of the world that she's in, part of the country that she's in. And she has to fight her way from the bottom. It's a wonderful story. It's beautiful. Like I said, it's not showy at all. I mean, it's all played in looks and in words and in body language, and without spoiling anything at all, it's got the most devastating ending that you could possibly imagine. But at the same time, it almost feels inspirational. It's that moving. It's just a stunning film. And you owe yourself to watch it if you've not seen it. It really is very, very good. But be prepared to take a box of tissues.
All right, $1 Million Baby. Paul, I'm guessing from what you were saying that it's on your list.
It is, yes. I was going to take a left turn and not nominate this film and was going to nominate $1 Million Baby. I think it's phenomenal. 4 Oscars, nominated for 7, winning Best Picture and Best Director and Best Actress. I think all thoroughly deserved. I didn't see where the film was going. It comes out of nowhere, and takes it from one story to a very different story. And I think it is one that you have to see. When I saw the trailers for it, I was like, do I really want to watch this movie? And once I'd watched it, I couldn't believe that I was in two minds about it. It is one of Clint Eastwood's best movies. So yes, $1 Million Baby definitely on this list.
Okay, it's a yes from me. So that has made the list. It is a contender. Ali, would you agree?
Yeah, it was on my top 5. It was on my top 5. I think it's a great film. And like what everyone else is, I mean, Matt said it brilliantly, but the ending is devastating. I mean, And her parents, when she comes into where she is, and they're like coming back from Disneyland or wherever it is, it's like they just don't give a toss. And
Yeah, they
even
want
that
money,
is
don't they?
just heartbreaking. And he's there, and he's just like it's like the daughter he never had. Or, but yeah, definitely, it was on my top 5. It was on my top 5.
Okay,
It's a great
that's
film.
4. John, is it 5?
Yeah, it's a full house.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. $1 Million Baby is a contender. All right. Who are we on? Paul, please nominate a film.
Well, seeing as Matt took that one, I'm going to take the one that's over my shoulder, which I'm not sure if everybody on the panel's seen through chatting, but if you haven't seen it, you should watch this. When I saw this movie, I saw this at cinema, and the movie is called The Hurricane, and it's a biography of the boxer Reuben Hurricane Carter. And boxing doesn't feature massively in the role, other than he is a contender for the heavyweight title in the world, and a lot of people thought that he would go on to win that belt. And it's the story of him being accused of and subsequently convicted of wrongfully being convicted of murder of 3 different people. He's been out at a club, and he's picked up, questioned. Police don't think that he's involved in the murder at all, and then someone else says that he's there, and that he was there, and just on the word of this one person alone, convinces the jury that he should be sent to prison. And it's the story of the true story of trying to overturn his wrongful conviction. Boxing plays a small role in the start of the movie, but it also plays throughout. It plays while a lot of the film is set in prison, and his ability as a fighter plays into his role inside. It is Denzel Washington's best performance, in my opinion. He outplays himself. He was nominated for an Academy Award for this film and didn't get it. And then lots of people said that the Academy made up for that by giving it to him for Training Day the year after, because they felt that he should have won it for this film. He is unbelievable. It is in my top 10 films of all time. I think it is a movie that everybody needs to see. And it is based on a true story. You can look it up. But the line, "Hate put me in this place and love got me out," broke me in the cinema. The story of people hearing this man who was wrongfully convicted and putting their lives on hold and on the line to try and set this man free after it was phenomenal. I think anybody who hasn't seen The Hurricane should definitely see The Hurricane.
Okay. And incidentally, who did he lose out the Oscar to? Do you know?
I believe that year was Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Dangerous Mind.
Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind, sorry.
Yes, I
Dangerous
believe.
No, wasn't it Gladiator?
Oh,
2000.
Gladiator!
Or it might-
What a film!
Yeah, it might have been Gladiator. It might have been Gladiator. Or it was Kevin Spacey in American Beauty. I can't remember what
That
year.
was 99.
So
it could have been
this film was made in 99, released in 2000. So I
So
don't
it would
know.
have been, it would have been
It
Gladiator.
would have been Kevin. No, it might have been Kevin
No,
Spacey.
I think it was. I think it might have
gonna
been
find
Kevin
that.
Spacey.
I'm
I'm going to
gonna
find.
find
We'll find
Somebody
out.
Google.
But,
Somebody
Oh
Google it.
man, but Gladiator, what a film!
so-
Gladiator.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Paul, I have not seen it, so I can't say yes or no. Ali, have you seen?
I've seen it.
Hurricane?
It was on my list. It wasn't in my 5, but it was in the 7.
Okay.
Denzel, yeah, he's wicked. Yeah, I mean, so what do I do? I'll say
I
yes,
mean,
because,
it's
it was
it's
on my
either
list.
yes.
say yeah.
It was-
Yeah.
No, I will.
It's up to you.
It was on my 7. It was in my
Okay.
7. It was number 7. So I would put it forward because I think
All
it's
right.
a great film. But I agree. When we're talking about boxing films, it's actually. Do you know when someone says to you, name a really good boxing films? It's like Rocky. It's the obvious one. It's actually hard to think. It's not until you really, really think about it, you think, oh, there was that. Oh, there was that. And that's when I thought of A Hurricane. And when I did think about it, I thought, yeah, it deserves to be on the list. Yeah.
Okay, that's 2 for the Hurricane. John?
I actually haven't seen it myself.
Okay. Matt,
Yeah.
have you seen it?
I always meant to see it. But I never got around to it. I don't know why, because it's well up my street. Norman Jewison, isn't it? In the Heat of the Night.
Yes.
Yeah, that director. Yeah, I'll probably go and watch it tonight. Probably also at some point.
Nice
at some point in the next
Boxing
few
Day,
weeks.
film to
Yeah,
watch.
Boxing Day boxing film. By the way, it was Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Russell Crowe was nominated though for The Insider.
The Insider, yeah.
Ah,
Oh, this
so-
was the year that Michael Caine won Best Supporting Actor for The Cider House Rules. He beat out
Yes.
Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise from Magnolia.
In
Man. That was
Magnolia.
awesome.
We're kind of circling the same time frames again, guys.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, well, it's on to me now, and after all these highbrow films, I've got to come in with some cheesy goodness, and I'm going to nominate one of my favorite films of the 80s, which featured three cultural icons from my youth, that being Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, and Rocky Balboa. I'm nominating. Yes, Matt. I am nominating Rocky 3. It brought the best of 1 and 2, and was just I loved it, and I still love it. It's got the best theme tune, Eye of the Tiger, and the montages are just amazing. The storyline picks up where he beats Apollo Creed, and he kind of settles into being the champion, and he's making a lot of money from doing all these promo deals, and he kind of eases off the training, and they start warning him, saying, well, you've got to keep up with training if you want to keep fighting. And he's, oh no, it'll be fine, I'll go do these adverts. And all the while Clubber Lang starts to appear, and he, played by Mr. T, he looks absolutely menacing, and I was terrified of him in that film. I somehow was able to manage to switch between the Mr. T, B.A. Baracus, and Clubber Lang, but I just thought he looked absolutely terrifying, and that he would break Sylvester Stallone in two. And sure enough, he does. They fight, and Clubber Lang takes the belt. Not before trying to get Adrian into bed in front of Sylvester Stallone, which is quite a nice. Hey, woman, you want a real man? And obviously, Hulk Hogan, his first film role, playing Thunderlips. Body pressing Sylvester Stallone into the ring. Apparently he did all that stuff. Sylvester Stallone asked him to kind of just make it look fake, but instead he decided, no, I'm gonna just properly throw you about, which he did. It's I just love this film. It's whenever I think of the Rocky films, just for pure popcorn entertainment and enjoyment, this is the one I put at the top, very much along the in line with at least 3 of the other Rocky films, but I won't say which, in case hopefully others get nominated. But Rocky 3 is my pick. Ding, ding.
Oh,
It's fighting talk.
yeah,
Ali.
yeah. I've got some Rocky films on my list. Sorry, are you talking? Is it my turn?
What do you think?
We're
What do
talking
think
to
of
you.
Rocky 3?
Rocky, yes, Rocky 3. I spoke to Paul about this. We had a brief discussion about it, and I thought Rocky 3 was my top Rocky film as well. But then I thought I'll rewatch 3 and 4, and I actually did prefer 4 afterwards. I thought.
Oh wow! So
Uh,
you watched 3 and 4
yeah.
for this?
And 4 is a Christmas movie as well.
It is, yeah. 7 Christmas Day, yeah.
A boxing Christmas movie. I prefer 4, but I would like to get as many Rocky films on in the top 5 as possible. So, but I don't want to knock out my chances of 4 in case someone else prefers 4. But I think Paul prefers 3.
We've got 3 so far, so we've still got 3 or 4 places left.
So I do want a chance of it getting on the list. This is the thing, and I think Paul's going to vote for it. I don't think Matt will. So I'm going to think like a boxer and think tactically with this one. I'll say yes.
Okay.
I prefer. Yeah, I can always nominate another one, but yeah, I'll say yes.
You're next for another nomination. So
okay. I'll say yes. Why not? I think what Sylvester Stallone has done with he created Rocky, didn't he? I mean, it's his idea. He's created the character, probably the most famous boxing film character of all time. And it was Eye of a Tiger, which was in 3. That's when that song was introduced. And it's the steps. It's just him as a character. He's such a lovable character. I mean, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky Balboa. You've got to love him. I mean, he's the character, what John mentioned. Either the films are about a guy coming from the bottom, working their way up, or someone who's got it all, like Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's lost it and he's had to regain it like somehow. But for me, absolutely. I mean, you've got to have a Rocky film in there.
I'd argue actually that something that I'd forgotten to say is that I think he's at his physical best in Rocky 3.
Yeah,
he is in his fighting prime in that.
He's in
film.
his fighting prime, and in 4 when it's like Drago, he looks insane as well. I mean, he's a machine, isn't he? I mean, he's like the Russian.
I'm sure we'll get to that very shortly.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll say yes. I'll
cool.
Say yes.
Okay, John.
3 is a weird one because it's the one that actually lacks an identity. If you think about it, one's the one Sylvester Stallone got off the streets with. And had to beg to make sure that he was starring in it. He sold his dog for $20 to survive. No, seriously, this is the apocryphal story of how he got Rocky made. He wrote
films, doesn't he?
Yeah, but the fact was he was broke, and he even had to sell his dog for $20.
We've all done that.
So he had, but he even had the guts to hang out to say, "I will only sell you this if I can star in it." So he had to have a lot of courage to do that. Rocky 3. So because in themselves, you could have 8. There are 8 films. There are 8 films in the Rocky series.
If you include Creed, yes.
Yeah. Well, I do. It's a continuation of the story.
Yeah. For you,
you could literally do probably a top 5 of Rocky films.
The Rocky universe.
The Rockiverse. I like it. But no.
Okay.
Because they're better.
Matt?
I mean, come on, really? Really? Rocky 3?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
the thing I don't like about Rocky 3 is the thing with Hulk Hogan now, because Hulk Hogan's a bit of a weirdo now, ain't he?
Well, yeah, he is a bit of a weirdo now. I mean, he's a weirdo in this. The world's gift to women, or whatever he calls himself. You know, he is a big,
the ultimate male.
The ultimate male. That's it. I like. We were talking last night on the group about just grabbing a quick watch of a film and stuff, and I was like, I haven't seen this, and this, and you should watch that then, Matt. And do you know what I watched in the end? Rocky 3, because Paul posted a GIF of Rocky 3 in response to my GIF of Rocky 4. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to watch Rocky 3 to see if it's as good as that they clearly think it is, and it's terrible. It's so bad. I mean, How can you put up with Mr. How can you put up with Mr. T?
It doesn't take itself serious, does it? It's just a fun boxing movie. It's not $1 Million Baby where it's
No, don't get me wrong. I love the Rocky movies, but I think this ranks alongside Rocky 5. I mean, it's a little bit better than Rocky 5, but it's not. It's really badly directed as well. There's some really kind of jarring, dodgy mid 70s TV zooms in there, and I think Stallone was a bit. I don't know. He's a bit drunk on his success in this because it really isn't a very good movie. When you compare it alongside Rocky 4, I mean, genuinely, Rocky 4 is a much better film. It's a much better film.
I prefer it.
Yeah.
The only reason I would vote for this would be the fact that Eye of the Tiger's in there, which is just the best track ever. Although what do they have? Do they have Hearts on Fire in the next
Hearts
one?
on Fire in 4, yeah.
Which is equally as good. And I think the montage sequences are better in 4 as well. I mean, he's in Russia with a beard. He's climbing up a Russian mountain.
Don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead. So I'm guessing it's a no.
Axes. He's got an axe as well.
Mate, it's a knockout. No chance. No way.
Oh, I pity the fool. Paul. Rocky 3.
The best Rocky movie.
Yes.
It's the best Rocky movie.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Matt.
Shame.
I've got massive nostalgia vibes. I think it's the Rocky movie that I saw first of all of them, probably because it had Hulk Hogan and Mr. T in it. I and both of those characters, like Chris, were part of my formative years. I really enjoyed it. I loved the fact that Stallone loses and then comes back with the help of Apollo. He teach the scene with Eye of the Tiger and the running scene on the beach, just like the whole train.
Goodness.
Yeah, it brought back. I think there's possibly is technically one more Rocky movie that I would have said was better in terms of technical, but for me, and it's not Rocky 4, Matt, I'm sorry. But for me, I really, really, really enjoy Rocky 3. I think it is the most enjoyable of the series. So for me, Rocky 3, it was at number 8, but none of you have seen The Hurricane. If you'd have all seen The Hurricane,
I saw Hurricane.
I know, I'm not having to go at you, Ellie. But so The Hurricane didn't make it through. So that means that Rocky 3 is now by default my 7. So I say yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, with that, Paul, Rocky 3 is a contender. Thank you very much. Ali, it's back to you.
I'm going to go straight in with Rocky 4. Why not?
Oh,
Rocky 4 is the best film. Rocky 4, where he flies to Russia. So I'm wrong, apologies. Wherever he goes, and it's to avenge Apollo's death. And the montage scene, what he's in the snow and he's training, and he's like slapping all the whatever he's punching. He's got the axe and he's cutting down the wood and everything. I prefer 4, and I prefer the villain in 4 as well, Ivan Drago. I think that character, he's like he's kind of built in a lab, isn't he? He's on the treadmills and he's got on the heart rate monitors, and Rocky's doing it old school style. You know, he's using nature and his own physical abilities, and this other guy's being pumped. He's like, have you seen Pokemon? Tube. He's got all the pipes coming out of him. You're probably not. Forget about it.
this is going off on a weird tangent.
he's like a mutated boxer. And I thought I would have put Rocky 4 over there. Matt loves Rocky 4.
I do. He's juiced, isn't he? That's how they describe it. He's juiced.
Juiced.
Okay.
So Rocky 4 then. All right, John.
This I would put in over Rocky 3 because this is the most stripped down Rocky movie that there is. Literally, you give him the reason. He does his training. He goes into the fight. He creates world peace on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fights for world peace on Christmas Day.
So he wins over the crowd, doesn't he? He wins over the crowd.
He does.
Yes.
And then he's like, he knocks him out, and he's like, "Happy Christmas, everyone!"
Yes. Rock. So yeah, this is probably the most stripped down movie he did, because it's basically, you know who Rocky is. The bad guy's a really bad guy. The training montages are all mock sci-fi combat scenes and injections and things like that. Rocky standing on the mountaintop. This would have been my choice of the two.
Well, it's 3's in already, John. Sorry. So 4's a yes for you, Matt.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, if we're going to have a Rocky movie in, there's only 2 really that I would go for, and this is one of them. As John said, it's a better film. It's a more stripped down version. You don't need anything else. There's no bells. There's no whistles. You've got a beefed up, greased up, body oiled man. He's ready to kick some Russian ass. He's searching for vengeance. You know, similarly in Rocky 3. Okay, you've got the Burgess Meredith character, Mickey, who dies, and then that's his impetus to return for a rematch against Clubber Lang, and then likewise in this movie you've got the same story. It's very derivative of Rocky 3, but he's processed all the crap out from Rocky 3, and Dolph Lundgren can't act, but no one's asking him to act in this. He's got barely any lines. Whereas Mr. T, they realised the guy couldn't act in the first place, so they got a really bad guy who they knew couldn't act. He's probably got, as we all know, Dolph Lundgren's got a genius IQ. He's like in IQ. He's like in Mensa. He's a doctorate in physics, or he's a doctor in something. And he didn't have to say anything. He just had to look tall, bulky, massive, and Russian. Bridget Nielsen, exactly the same. Basically, they're supposed to look like brother and sister. It's as John said, the montage sequences where he's training is just it's filmed like a sci-fi film, which I think is great. It's a nice little touch. It's interesting. It's interesting. You're playing on the Cold War. You're playing on 80s America. You're playing on all that. And you're showing the Russians cheating. I mean, but that was a lie, wasn't it? Yeah, they didn't dope anybody. That happened not at all in every other single Olympic sport ever.
Allegedly.
Truthfully. Yeah, well, that's been found. But yeah, allegedly.
Matt, as your lawyer.
It's a great movie. They streamlined it, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do for this movie. And it's got a great soundtrack as well. Great soundtrack. And the opening fight, the fights are bigger, everything's bigger and better. Huge success. And do you know what? Even Stallone thinks it's a better film than Rocky 3 because they've released a director's cut where he's brought in. It's now called Rocky 4, Rocky versus Drago, and it's got extra scenes, extra content in it, and it's been smashed out in 4K. I can't wait if it comes over here. I'm definitely going to go and try and see it in cinema. Definitely, yeah. But let's not too much hyperbole. It ain't Raging Bull, but if we've got to have a Rocky movie on there, I'm happy for this one to go on.
All right. Well, with 3 votes, it is on our list at number 5. Paul, do you agree?
No, I don't like this one.
What?
Sorry, I don't like. I don't think it's. Just the story's just not there for me. It's just really basic. The training montage is cool, but yeah, I've never. It's
the same movie as Rocky 3.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same movie.
Rocky 3 but Rocky 3 is much better with a lot more character in it for me. I've never thought this one. I don't know whether it's because of my nostalgic love for 3, and then it was years later when I saw 4, because I think I watched 3 a lot, and then went, I probably should watch all of them, and then ended up watching 1 through 5 sort of thing. So yeah, 3 has that. And 5 was not good. Yes. For me, it would have been a no. So
okay, so no from Paul. It's a definite yes from me.
Yes!
I love Rocky 4. Although I have to disagree with John and Matt over it being stripped down, because it's by far the most bombastic and out there and in your face, Rocky. Out of all 8 of them,
I think we mean in terms of plot. In plot, it's stripped down. There's nothing to it. It's just
okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right.
It is the most refined. It is paper thin, but it does exactly what it needs to, because you know.
Well,
what the
I would argue that Rocky Balboa was the most stripped down in plot.
Rocky Balboa. That's got to be on the list as well.
we may be having that conversation in a minute.
All right. Well, let's leave it there then. Okay.
Just as a quick point, Dolph Lundgren, as mentioned in the Expendables, is actually you're right. He's
member of Mensa, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's also got his degree is in chemical engiering.
Chemical engineering.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
He's proper brainy. That guy, proper brainy.
He broke 2 of Sylvester Stallone's ribs whilst they were doing the fight scenes.
Yeah.
Because Sylvester Stallone said, "Don't hold back," so he didn't.
Stallone, I mean, all credit to Stallone. I mean, you said earlier on that Rocky 3 was when he's most ripped, but to be honest with you, he's ripped in this as well. The fair play to the guy.
Yeah, and so he solves the Cold War. He ends the Cold War. Okay, John, what have you got for us?
Right. Let's skip on a couple of films. I think Rocky Balboa.
Yes.
Because you take all the last 5 films, you pick them up, you throw them out the window, and basically he started from scratch and basically kind of wrote it as him. As Rocky, as he was then. Okay, all his regrets, all his character development, all his life was poured back into Rocky at a point where you are questioning if it's all gone wrong. You are questioning, should you get back into it? Because I'm sure this was the period just after Stallone had a very quiet few years of making films. And I'm sure this was actually one of the ones that actually brought him back, along with the Expendables, along with Escape Plan and things like that. And this one really got him back. Rambo, the John Rambo film. Those were the 2 that kick-started his career now. He's got to be about 70 years old now, hasn't he? And
I think so.
Yeah, and the fact is, it's written as a 70-year-old man getting back in the ring and fighting someone at least half his age, for the hell of it, just to prove that he can, not for the money, not for anything else, but basically to prove to himself that he still has some self-worth. And the film has all the character that none of the first 5 have, and I think that this is kind of a refreshing take on Rocky, and I think this has got the feels and I think this is probably one of the more serious, proper feeling contenders.
Okay, Rocky Balboa, Matt.
I ain't seen it. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it. I always meant to watch it, but I'm not a huge boxing fan. But
he says,
I don't know. I don't know. Do you know what? I've heard a lot about it, and whatever John's saying about it, I'm sure is absolutely true, because he did make a really good comeback, did old Sylvester Stallone, and I've seen all the other ones that he's brought back. His Rambo and his Expendables and Escape Plan, and wow.
What if Chris goes round so you can quickly have a quick watch and we come back to you so we can get it on the list?
Yeah, I just can't. I haven't seen it, so I can't.
Fair enough. Paul?
Short bit, no. I think 1 and 2 are better Rocky movies. I had it below Southpaw, and I've said no to Southpaw. So, but I do like it, and I think it's good. But like I said, there are a lot of very good boxing movies, but for me, this is the lower end. It's down to 10 for me.
Okay. I really like the film.
Yes.
I thought it was really good.
Yes.
I do worry that Paul just made a very good point that 1 and 2 are better than Rocky Balboa.
They definitely are.
And I agree. So I don't know whether I can in good conscience put it in because of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Knock it out. Knock it out. Go on.
Oh,
Give it
in. Keep
Uppercut.
it in the ring.
Uppercut.
Don't throw in the towel yet, Mr. Murray.
Seconds out.
We haven't got many
Seconds
spots
out.
left.
We don't have many spots. That's
what are we on now? What are we on?
This would be this. We've got 5 already.
Yeah,
oh no, you can't put it. There's better films. Gotta be. Not to push you in any direction or anything.
Well, 1 and 2 for starters.
Oh, keep it in.
I'm going to have to say no. I'm afraid. Sorry, John. Ali, I'm guessing from your enthusiasm, you would have said yes.
The enthusiasm. Yeah, I love it. Do you know why? Because all the other Rocky films previous, I kind of saw at home on my own or with family or with, if that makes sense. Balboa was the first one I got to go to the cinema and watch it like, with all my friends. And there was like 8 of us going to the cinema to watch it. And we just, do you know when like the hype in the cinema, I think it was like the experience of watching it on the big screen, like with everyone. There's a lot of like Rocky fans in there. And everyone was just pumped. Everyone was just like clapping. Do you know when you actually hear people getting up and like clapping for the film and stuff?
Wow.
So it was that. And I just loved the way they brought it into like the new day, because it was kind of, the fight came along because it was like a computer game, weren't it? It was
it's a great idea.
Balboa do against like a new person. So they brought that like computer element into it. And that's what inspired him to like say, yeah, I think I should give it a shot. I think it's a great film. I think it's a really good Rocky film.
Sorry. All right. Well, with only 2,
it's not on, but I would have put it on. I would have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, it's your turn. What have you got for us as probably the last one, second to last?
Well, I'm gonna bring it back down to earth. Bring it back down to earth. Hey man, yeah. You gotta have some seriousness there. You gotta have some serious. I'm gonna go for a double Oscar winner. I'm gonna go for double Oscar winner from 2010, which the good old British actor who won his first Oscar in this for Best Supporting Actor. I'm gonna go for The Fighter. David O. Russell's The Fighter. I think it's a fantastic movie. I think we need some drama in here. We've got $1 Million Baby. We've got Rocky. We've got $1 Million Baby. We've got Raging Bull. Let's have another serious movie in here. I think it's fantastic. The more you watch it, the better it gets. It's a proper it's a real good film that ages very, very well, in my opinion. Great performances. You got Christian Bale, Dickie Eklund, who is a former challenging boxer challenger who was at a very high level in regional boxing, and he was progressing quite high up the ranks to he had a good career, and unfortunately this is a true story, by the way, as true as it can be in Hollywood, but it's based on a true story, based on an HBO documentary that was made around the same time on street drugs and how crack and meth were rife in this part of, I think it's Boston. Or is it Boston? I'm not sure.
It's Boston, yeah.
It is Boston, yeah. And and how it's the tragedy of the drugs and how they're infiltrating all sorts of society, all parts of society, and especially this guy Dickie Eklund, whose career was completely stalled because of his use of drugs. Now his younger brother Mickey is also a boxer, and he's constantly being let down by his brother. He's also a boxer with a good ability. You can see himself. People see potential in him, and he can't get anywhere because he's always being fed these crappy second-rate boxers who he's basically a stepping stone for them. so that they can move further up. So he's basically like a beater. He's effectively like a sparring partner, but on a pro level. So he just gets beaten all the time. He gets his head punched in. He doesn't throw any matches or anything, but he just gets put against these absolute monsters, and they don't play him well. His team, his management is not working for him, and his management and his trainer is his brother. So anyway, he wants a shot. He wants a chance. So he has a relationship with a local girl who's played by, what's her name?
Amy Adams.
Amy Adams, who's terrific.
Again.
It's absolutely terrific. Yeah, absolutely terrific in it. Yeah, same old story. We've seen it all a million times before. And rags to riches. He wants to include his brother in this, but he likes her. She's got her head screwed on. She's a girl from the same neighborhood, but she's got her head screwed on, and she wants him to make it as well. She says, "Look, ultimatum. You either listen to me, or you go and follow your brother, because you're going to end up the same as him." It's a fantastic movie, really, really good, and such a great performance all round. Mark Wahlberg, who he does what he does. He's good what he does.
Like
he's good in this. He is good in this. He's like a poor man's Jake Gyllenhaal. He could be really good if you know what I mean. He's that popular, but he can put good performances in, and he does put a really good performance in this. Solid performance. Christian Bale steals the show. Absolutely, he knows he's stealing the show in this. Amy Adams is phenomenal at anything she does. Absolutely brilliant in this, and it won 2 Oscars, and the other Oscar went to Mickey and Dickie's mother, who is this messed up kind of peroxide blonde local matriarch who is just tough, rough, and she wants the best for both her kids, but ultimately she favors Dickie, even though he's a complete and utter mess. So she's letting down her son at the same time. It's a great drama. It's really good fun. It's technically great. The script is fantastic, and it is a solid watch. Really, really good. So I'd like to vote The Fighter.
The Fighter, Paul.
It's on the cusp. I think there's another dramatic movie that is better, but I'm afraid that people might not have seen it. So I'm gonna say yes. I am gonna say yes. It's a very good film, very well acted. Christian Bale is outstanding. People should watch The Fighter. Yes.
It's a yes from Paul. Matt, I had completely forgotten about this film until you mentioned it just now, and I have to
did
totally
the same
agree.
thing, Chris. I wrote it down on my list as Matt started talking about it. That's why it was hard for me.
I think it's a phenomenal film. It's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it's a yes from me. So The Fighter makes it. Ali, have you seen The Fighter?
He's frozen. Are you frozen?
Ali is frozen.
Oh, still, guys.
John,
We lost you.
Have you seen The Fighter?
No, I haven't seen The Fighter. Again, it's another film that's kind of slipped through the fingers. So
I love it. I think it's a great film. I can't say anything more.
Okay, Ali, go again, mate.
You sped up there, Ali. So go again, please. Have you seen The Fighter?
I've seen it. I can't say any more than what Matt said, but I think it's a great film. It's on my list as well, and I think it deserves to be on the list. Christian Bale, who's also the best Batman ever, and I think it's a great. Yeah, of course it is.
Controversial.
And, Batman's also the best superhero ever. But let's not talk about that.
Well, when we do DC superheroes, mate,
call Ali.
I think
you're gunning for a fight here, Ali.
I think it deserves to be on the list.
Okay, so yeah, The Fighter has made that's our 6. Do we go with a 7th? Have we got? Got a 7th?
We need a 7th.
I've got a 7th. Yeah,
I've got a 7.
Hang on. Did John vote on the last one? I know it doesn't need it.
He did. Yeah,
he did. Okay.
Okay.
He hadn't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't.
That was it.
Yes, I haven't seen the film. So, but I'll be rectifying that as soon as.
It's right up your street, mate. It's right up your street.
Okay, Ali, you said you've got a film.
What to put as a 7?
I'm gonna stay serious as well. and I'm going to go with a movie that was nominated for 3 Oscars. It didn't win any, but it was an outstanding film the year it came out. It came out in 2005, directed by Ron Howard, starring Russell Crowe and Renee Zellweger. The movie is Cinderella Man. It's the story of James Braddock, who is a light heavyweight contender in the 1920s, fighting out and lives in New Jersey. And he has a shot at the title and he breaks his hand, which means that, and this is all as true as Hollywood films get, he breaks his hand and he is unable to fight anymore. America falls into the Great Depression and he's desperate for money, and he's just working as a laborer down at the docks, and he can't get work every single day. And he, on one of those days when he's not there, one of his old friends, his old promoters from back in the day in boxing, played by Paul Giamatti, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this film, says, does he want to come and just do a local fight? And he gets back in the ring, even though he's got a broken hand, and he fights and he wins. And it turns out that he's still got it, even though he's getting on, and the money helps his family out. And he goes back and does another fight, and he thinks that he's just going to be doing this just to make ends meet in this really, really difficult time. And he starts becoming a force again, and his wife doesn't want him to fight because she's worried about his health and his hand, and but he knows that he's bringing in money, and he carries on fighting, and he finds out that he's actually a better fighter now than he was before, because he's learnt to throw a much better punch with his left hand, and he's turned into a southpaw, and he's now fighting heavyweight because he's much older, and he rises through the ranks. He becomes this rags to riches tale, hence the Cinderella Man title, and he gets the opportunity to fight, is it Max Baer, I believe his name is, who is the current world heavyweight champion of the world, in Madison Square Garden. And it is this proper rags to riches feel-good story of a real fighter who looked past his best, was completely out of it, and is coming back. He's such a proud man that even when he was down and out and had no money and was taking money from the government, as soon as he started earning money, he started paying it back. He started paying his dole back because he didn't want to owe anybody anything. And I think Russell Crowe's great in this movie. I think Renee Zellweger's great in this movie. Ron Howard directs it brilliantly. I think Cinderella Man definitely deserves to be on this list.
Okay, Cinderella Man. Unfortunately, I did see this in the cinema, and I'm a huge Ron Howard fan and a huge Russell Crowe fan, but I just don't remember it. It's weird. I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but I'm just gonna have to say no because of that. Sorry, Paul.
Okay.
Ali?
I have seen it, and I think it's a good film. I love Russell Crowe as well. I have seen it, but it didn't make the list. But I was going to give it an honourable mention. But I think so. Yeah, Paul, it's a great film.
But not inside your top.
No, it wasn't actually. No, it was just outside. It was on the 10. It wasn't in the 7. So no.
All right, John.
I'm afraid to say I haven't seen it. Again, there are certain films at a certain period I just completely missed, and this was one of them, unfortunately.
Matt.
Again, I haven't seen it, but there is a reason for that. I think you guys probably know that I read reviews before I go to the cinema, which is probably not a great thing, to be honest. I tend to do it because I like reading journalists' opinions, and obviously I try and avoid spoilers. So if I feel that there's a spoiler coming up, then I'll just stop reading it. But I read several reviews on this, and they were really weren't very good. They were really mixed at best. And so I just let it slip by because as Chris probably didn't remember it, I'm sure that there might be another reason for it, but maybe it's because it is a bit of an unforgettable movie in the sense that a forgettable movie. But I don't know. I should see it, and I can't possibly comment on it because I haven't seen it. So
I would say I missed it at the cinema as well, Matt. I only saw it at home. I don't think it was very well marketed, and I think I was surprised how good it was, considering like it didn't draw me in before that. So for me, it was a surprise how good it was. I'll definitely check it out along with the other one as well.
I'll have to do a rewatch of it for sure. Okay, Ali, you said you got a seventh.
I do have a seventh, and we're going back to the first one. Adrian. It's got to be Rocky one. It's got to be Rocky. It's got to be the first one. We've got the others on there, but let's put it. Let's just consider it. Let's just talk about it. Let's go through it. If we want to chuck it out of the room, we can chuck it out of the room. But I wanted to just throw it in to keep Sylvester the best possible chance of winning number one top 5.
He's got 3 chances.
He's going to have 3 chances. I just love the Rocky character. And the one which started it off, and sorry, I forgot who mentioned it when he sold the financial.
Sold his dog.
Yeah. It's a movie which had such little money and made so much. I mean, the difference is crazy. It was something like 1 million to make and like 250 mil in like the box office or something. It was something insane. It was such a success. And for something to trigger off what we have today, and they're making Creed 3 at the moment, I think they're making it at the moment. It's still ongoing, and it's left such a legacy behind it. I mean, the statue is there, isn't it?
It's really there. Yeah, it's really there.
It's really there, and I think it's just a statement to what Sylvester created. You know, it is a story of rags to riches, and the film which started, it's just a personal favorite of mine. I think the whole series, I mean, I'm the same, boxing films, boxing as a sport. I do like it, I don't like it. I'm kind of sit on the fence with it. But I think what he created, and for so much love for it as well, I just wanted to put it in there as the original, which kickstarted the whole legacy, the whole Rocky universe. I wanted to put it in there.
All right, Ali. So Rocky. Okay. Before we go round, I'm just wondering, did you have any other Rocky films in your list that haven't been?
I had Creed
mentioned?
on there. I had Creed on there, but I'm willing to leave it off.
Well, what I'm thinking is, because there's only one position left, I wonder whether if we all just had to think about any Rocky films that we have and
you put all of them together,
discuss it as a whole.
No,
put all of them under the Rocky saga. The Rocky saga, just one place. Rocky.
That's
saga.
about 16-hour movie, mate.
I wouldn't want to put anyone through Rocky 5.
They're all the
That's a 14-hour movie, mate.
They're all the same. They're all the same film.
The same,
it's the same film.
I'd actually argue that the first one is the first one, the fourth one, Rocky Balboa, and then Creed are actually stand out.
They are
kind of like the standout separate ideas.
And honestly, so were those you just mentioned there, then, John, are they on your list?
Yeah, I mean the Rocky, the original Rocky would be on my list.
And Matt, do you have any love for the first film?
The first is the best one.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh. So we're I mean, it's in my
Okay, it's in my top 5. Yeah, it's the best one.
Then
I love this film. I love it.
Rocky's gone through. Okay.
Yeah, man, it's got to go through because this was the first film I really remember seeing ever. The first film I remember seeing ever on TV. This is the only thing that I can recollect back as far as I could possibly go to remembering watching a film, sitting on the sofa with my dad. I can't remember a film before this. This is not even like E.T. I remember E.T. I remember going to the cinema, being taken to the cinema to see E.T.
But put it on.
Sit it, E.T.
I've got an ET pin badge. I've got an ET pin badge I was going to put on to keep him alive.
He's still here, man. We'll bring him back. We'll bring him back. Yeah, I love Rocky.
When we do Aliens.
Rocky's the best one of the bunch.
Okay, well,
as I said yesterday, you could stop at Rocky. I don't like
John.
Rocky 2.
All right, John and Matt agree with you, Ali. Paul.
Yeah, it was the highest ranked Rocky movie on my list. I love 3, but Rocky is the best movie of the bunch, in my opinion.
Okay, and it's on my list as well. So that's 5 for 5, Ali. Well done. All right, so
is there anything for the mythical 8th spot, Chris?
Mythical?
This is our Black Hawk Down nomination.
Black Hawk Down scenario. Is there any movie that we missed?
Personally, no. John, have you got anything that we haven't mentioned that should go in?
No, actually, no,
Okay.
I don't.
Matt?
I want Warrior to go in.
That would be my other pick. Only that I had it as number 1 on my list, and I haven't mentioned it yet. I think Warrior is an outstanding movie. The only reason why I hadn't mentioned it yet was because it is a mixed martial arts movie. It's not solely about boxing.
Yeah,
That's the only reason why I hadn't mentioned it. But for me,
best film we haven't mentioned as Warrior.
The best film we haven't mentioned, and for me would be the best film that has been mentioned so far, is Warrior.
Okay. Personally, I've not seen it.
Stupid. It's an amazing movie.
It is
amazing,
an absolutely amazing movie.
I'll have to watch it.
Yes. So,
but it doesn't have boxing as a soul. Like we said, it doesn't really count, does it? Does it really count? I think it does count, but no, I don't think it's going in, is it?
UFC? Is it UFC?
It's mixed martial arts.
Mixed
So
martial arts,
boxing
yeah.
is considered one of those martial arts that's mixed in,
Right.
but
Okay.
it's not solely about boxing, which is why I hadn't mentioned it. So
Okay.
yeah.
Anyone else want to put anything in?
No, I was going to say
anything into the ring.
No, I didn't mention that film also because of the whole kicking element.
Yeah.
And then we would be going into the Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Blood sport.
We'd be going into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's it called? That universe.
Bloodsport.
The Jean-Claude Van Damme universe. So that's why I didn't mention it. But it's an
Damn
awesome film. It's a great film.
The Tampons.
Yeah.
No, do you
have
want?
you
Well, I've got some honourable mentions.
Yeah. We've
Go
got to
on,
mention
go
the
on.
ones that. Yeah, we could, these are the ones that wouldn't go on because you wouldn't vote for them, but they've got to be mentioned. Sorry, John, you go.
Oh no, I'll let you go first, mate.
All right, Prayer Before Dawn, be brilliant. A film with Joe Cole. I can't pronounce the name. It's a French dude that directed it. 2017. It's about a British guy called Billy Moore who is gets in trouble in Indonesia, or it may be Thailand. I can't remember. And he gets pulled over for drugs, using and supplying, and he gets thrown in jail there. And he finds himself through Thai boxing. Really good film. Really good film. And Real Steel, we like that. Real Steel. Hugh Jackman.
Yes, that's one of
Robots.
mine.
I'll let John talk about that. The other one I've got is Journeyman with Paddy Considine, about
Jodie Whittaker as well.
The Jodie Whittaker, really good, directed by Paddy Considine. Journeyman, really good. All about the downside, the physical downside of boxing. Terrific performance in that, really good. So that's worth watching.
Yeah, Real Steel, Hugh Jackman fighting with sucking rocking robots, basically remote control transformers.
Oh, what?
Robot boxing.
It's robot boxing. It's based. Can you know the game with the red and blue robots that do this, and the one pops his head? That's the basic idea.
Oh, okay.
It's also
Rock
based
'em,
on a
sock 'em.
Twilight. But it's also based on a Twilight Zone episode where Lee Marvin has a robot fighter, but his robot fighter breaks down on him, so he ends up getting in the ring and fighting a robot. No,
That's
basically,
awesome.
yeah,
That sounds amazing.
yeah, and it's one of the old black and white ones where basically boxing's been outlawed between people, between humans, so people watch robots. So
Is it like some big shiny 1950s robot?
Yeah. It's a humanoid
Wow.
robot beating up Lee Marvin.
Amazing.
Real Steel's a good one. We haven't mentioned bare knuckle boxing, so any which way but loose, any which way you can.
I love the Clint.
Snatch.
Yeah.
That I would count that as bare knuckle boxing. Brad Pitt. There is
Fight Club.
Fight Club.
Fight Club.
Fight Club.
Yes. Jason Bourne, he's making his living as a bare knuckle boxer as well, but it doesn't really count. And there was another one I've completely forgotten.
My only one,
Sherlock
John.
Holmes.
Oh yeah, that's quite
remake,
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
The remake. Yeah. I say the remake. The
Robert
Analyzing.
Downey Jr.
the Guy Ritchie reimagining.
Yes.
my only other boxing film that I thought of, or film featuring boxing, was a Bugsy Malone. There's a great boxing scene in
Yes.
that, and a musical number as well. But yeah, I can't think
And
of anything else. I think
The boxer.
guys-
The boxer.
The Boxer.
I've never seen that. The
I
boxer
haven't
with
seen that, no.
Daniel
No,
Day
with
Lewis, right?
Daniel Day-Lewis. I've not seen it
All
either.
right.
haven't seen
So
it either.
I've heard good things, but I've never seen it.
Very
Uh,
good
are
things about.
We tangentially mentioned it, but Creed is very good.
Creed, yes.
Creed is very, very good, and it was it was just outside my list.
Yeah.
and then-
Michael B. Jordan. Yeah.
Michael
he's
B.
really good.
Jordan, yeah, he is outstanding in it.
Yeah,
Creed
he's
2,
outstanding, yeah.
Creed 2 is fun, and Michael B. Jordan is directing Creed 3 alongside starring in it. So
And Girl
Creed-
Fight as well. Girl Fight is supposed to be very
Girl
good.
Fight.
That's it's supposed to be another good one. Another good one.
Creed 2 being a very good direct sequel to Rocky 4 as well.
Right. Yeah.
All right, there we go. So here's our list for the end of round 1. Raging Bull, Southpaw, $1 Million Baby, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, The Fighter, and Rocky.
Yes. Loads of Rockies.
So we're on to round 2. All right.
Oh, good.
Okay, so
No expense spares. No expense
from that list. Okay, we need to break this down then. So, what are we going to put at 7 then? Ali, what's your number 7?
I think Southpaw for number 7.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though I love Jake, I've got number 7.
Okay. John?
I'd have to say The Fighter, simply because I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. Matt?
Rocky 3.
Paul?
Rocky 4.
Oh, God. And I'm going to have to say Southpaw. So Southpaw
Southpaw is
is
gone.
number 7.
Number 7.
Okay, back to you then, Ali. You said Southpaw. So what's
I
your
did.
number 6 position?
What is
nomination?
it? We got Fighter, we got Raging Bull. we
Raging
got-
Bull, Rockies 1 to 3, and $1 Million Baby.
I'll go for Rocky 3.
Rocky 3, number 6.
Chris?
John,
No, I'm The Fighter again.
you're Fighter. Sorry. And Matt, what were you?
I'll be voting Rocky 3 until it
Rocky
goes.
3. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm working on 2 sheets of paper here. Rocky 3.
It's all right. And I'm Rocky 4, Chris. So it's just you.
It's just me. Okay. Oh no. I'm going to say. Oh no.
Don't say 4. Don't say
Here
4.
comes the right hook.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
The left of the stomach.
Uppercut.
I'm going.
Shah Rukh Khan.
Rocky.
Rocky. Okay, so
Where does that
And
leave us?
that means Rocky 3 is gone with 2 votes.
Oh.
Oh.
Yes.
right.
So you got your top 5.
Okay, so the top 5 in no particular
love-
order:
We love Rocky though. We love Rocky.
Raging Bull, $1 Million Baby, Rocky 4, The Fighter, and Rocky. So, Ali, what are you going for number 5?
I'm going to go with the fire.
The Fighter for number 5.
Yeah.
John?
Fighter.
Okay. Matt?
I want everyone to know that I do love Rocky. I like Rocky a lot, but Rocky 4's got to go. And I love Rocky. I love Rocky 4, but Rocky.
That was a sci-fi one.
The first Rocky's the best. So sorry, Rocky 4's got to go.
Paul?
Rocky 4 for me as well.
So it's 2 fighters and 2 Rocky 4s.
Chris,
So
you got
it's
to
for
pick.
me. I'm going with The Fighter.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
Fighter at 5. Wow.
Yes.
So Rocky 3, Rocky
Okay, Ali,
Fighter.
number 4
So-
position.
So we got Rocky. We got Rocky 4.
Raging Bull, $1 Million Baby.
I'm going to go $1 Million Baby.
Okay. And John?
I'm going to Roundhouse Raging Bull. Really?
Wow.
It's
There you
Rocky
go.
4, Chris.
I will break you.
Me and Matt with Rocky 4 and you with Rocky.
That's it. You need to speak right into the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
will break you.
Go for it. Okay, so Rocky 4
Rocky 4's
is
gone. Yeah.
4.
Oh.
Okay.
Rocky 4.
He's still got a chance. Still got a chance.
All
Rocky's
right.
still
So,
got a chance.
Ali, you were $1 Million Baby, weren't you? And
I did,
John,
yeah.
Raging Bull. Matt?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to view this in the right way. Oh my god, this is tough. They are really because where am I going for like pure boxing, or am I going for pure film? What am I doing? Rocky.
Rocky. Okay. And Paul?
Raging Bull.
Oh,
Vindicated.
okay. So
Which means Ali's
it's
got to
2.
decide.
Yeah, 2 for Rocky and 2 for Raging Bull. Ali, which film is better, Rocky or Raging Bull?
Well, I love both. I love both of them. They were both in my top 5. Raging Bull. See, this is a difficult one because
Ooh, okay.
It's your ET moment. It's your ET moment.
This is difficult because Raging Bull is far the better film. But Rocky is boxing fun, and I just love the character. If we're talking about characters, obviously they're 2 completely different characters. We're talking about Jake and Rocky, and
Well, they even made a film, didn't they? And recently, with the 2 of them fighting.
They
I
did.
didn't mention that one.
yeah.
Who won in that film?
I think
I'm
anybody's
gonna-
seen that film.
No.
You got to split them.
What's your better film?
Go with your gut.
Which
That's what
one?
I
Yeah.
say.
I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to say Raging Bull.
Raging Bull, number 3. Okay.
That's
Right.
fair.
So
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
we're down to 2 contenders for a number 1 position. It's $1 Million Baby versus Rocky. Oh,
Completely different.
okay. Ali, what's
It's
your
got to be
number 1
Rocky.
pick?
Rocky for number 1.
Rocky. John?
Yeah.
I'll go. I'm going to say Rocky for
Matt?
number 1.
Yes, John. Yes.
I'm gonna split the crowd and go for my favorite. I think it's the ultimate boxing movie, $1 Million Baby.
Paul?
$1 Million Baby.
Oh, Mr. Chris. Mr. Chris. Mr. Chris.
See, Matt,
And-
being the host and getting the final vote does not make it. It's not necessarily a good thing.
Well, you remember where I wanted to put Rocky.
Yeah, I do. I do.
So our winner, $1 Million Baby.
Oh, I thought he was going to go for Rocky.
I thought he was going to go for Rocky as well.
I thought he was going to go for Rocky.
Oh.
I thought he was going to go for Rocky.
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
So in descending order, The Fighter, number 5, Rocky 4, Raging Bull, Rocky at number 2, and $1 Million Baby.
Play the
Hey,
sting.
ding.
You don't, Matt, what happened to the story about Rocky being going back to your dad and being the first film you ever watched?
Yeah, man. But I'm glad it's there. It's there. Number 2, man.
They're
It's
at number
there.
2. It is.
Number 2.
It is.
It's number 2.
My dad would be proud. $1 Million Baby. He'd like that better anyway.
Well, just want to thank you all for taking part in this Boxing Day boxing top 5.
Good
Thank you very
subject, Ali.
much.
Thank you, Ali, for
Pleasure.
choosing that.
Thank you very
Wow.
much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Good
It's been a
suggestion,
pleasure.
Ali. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very
And
much.
I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Christmas.
Indeed.
And do you know what? I've just realised we've done a whole 2 hours where Ali's been sat in his dressing gown. I think that's brilliant.
Oh, put it away.
It's actually really hot. It's proper hot.
Or is it dun 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 dun?
Ali, have you got anything you would like to plug?
Oh,
Or
not really. Just happy.
mention-
This is going out Christmas. Happy Christmas to everyone.
Yeah.
Happy Boxing Day. Happy New Year. Let's have a fun. Let's have a good one. Enjoy what you're doing, everyone. And yeah, everyone have a good time. Thanks for having me. It's been brilliant.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, I'll share it. And I love what you guys do. I love what you guys do. Keep it up.
Thank
It's
you.
great. Yeah, man. Yeah.
John.
Speaking of which, we are on all the social medias at 5 on Film Podcast. Find us on all the socials at that. If you want to email us, please feel free to email us at 5onfilmpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to argue with us, please feel free. If you want to find us on YouTube, please feel free. This is also going out on our Spotify and Apple iTunes. So Apple Podcasts as it is now. If you want to look into your pod scraper of choice, we should be there. There should be no excuse not to find us if you want to pass on the love and argue with us or tell your mates. I met our French listener the other day.
Bonjour.
Yeah, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, Rachel.
It's a
bonjour.
lady.
Yes.
Mademoiselle.
Yeah, so Mademoiselle. Well, actually, she's a madame now. I've just been to a wedding. So we feel free to get in touch with us. If you have any ideas for other subjects, please get in touch with us. We cannot do this forever because we
We
come
need
up
them.
with some rubbish ones soon. We are now heading into 2022. We are going to have less time because we're going to be doing more things. Apparently, we have
Are
been
we?
told this. So in general, So please,
breaking news.
breaking news. I'm probably saying this from the middle of a lockdown, but anyway.
Okay, thank you, John.
Let's
Thank you, John.
so let's get into 2022.
Moving on.
Doom, gloom. No, I just enjoy Christmas. I hope you've had a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful time. Watch those Christmas movies. Did you guys always do what I used to do? But I'd buy like the Radio Times or whatever the ITV version was, and I'd used to get my
circle and highlight.
circle
yeah.
over the, yeah.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
We can't. I mean, it's hard to do nowadays
Gone.
with all the streaming
Those days are gone.
services. You can't. You know, there's too many. too many.
E240 tapes.
Oh, mate.
Two
honestly, loved
films
it.
on each.
All those Christmas movies, and I used to be like, right, I'd ring them up, and it'd be like BBC Two, really late at night, and it was the first times that I'd seen films like the Kurosawa season that they put on BBC Two or Channel 4, whatever it was, and I'd be sitting, it'd be Christmas, I'd be watching and be like, oh my, phenomenal Hitchcock seat. So watch all the films you can over Christmas, enjoy, drink, eat, be merry. Love you guys. Come back, watch us in the new year. We'll have some good stuff.
Paul?
Echo everything. Merry Christmas to all of those listeners and watchers out there. I hope everybody's had a great Christmas. Come and chat to us on the socials over Christmas. That'd be nice to interact with people, give us ideas for the new year, and I hope everybody is enjoying. Cheers, Chris, for jumping in the seat today.
Yes,
My
Mr.
pleasure.
Chris.
Good man. Good man.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Have a good one.
If he dies, he dies.
All views expressed in this podcast are that of the individual and do not represent the views of any entity whatsoever which they have been or will be affiliated with in the future.